What's up, everyone? Welcome to Sidewalk 355. Let's solve another top-down design question over here. So our assignment is to basically create a sidewalk over here from scratch, try and do it with only 16 lines of code, and we know that since the canvas is 400 pixels long, there's going to be 8 squares, 400 divided by 8. The length of each square is going to be 50. So let's start. Tracy always starts in the middle, so let's start by picking our pen up, and let's have Tracy set position down to -200, -200. So Tracy's all the way in the bottom left. And I'm just going to set the speed to 0 before we start so we can run nice and fast. So if we start in the bottom left over here, the first thing we need to do is we need to draw a square over here. So define draw square. Now we currently don't know how to draw a square. So in order to draw a square, we've done this before. I'm just going to comment this out temporarily. But drawing a square is basically going forward a certain amount. In this case, 50, because 400 divided by 8 is 50. And then we're supposed to turn left a total of 90 degrees. Now we need to repeat that 4 times. So if I make for I in range 4, and if I were to loop that, I are able to create a square over here. So for I in range 4, and our pen's currently up, so we're going to need to put the pen down in order to start over here. So once we've set position, pen down. We can pretty much keep the pen down for the whole challenge over here. Pen down. So once the pen's down for I in range 4, we'll be able to create our first square over here. So let's define creating a square as those lines of code over there, colon, and now we know how to draw a square. So first thing is let's draw that square over here. So draw square, and now we're going to have to draw an entire row of squares. Draw square. We got to indent those. All right, so we've drawn our first square. Now, how many squares do we need in a row? Well, there's a total of 8 squares in a row. And you might think that drawing 8 squares makes sense, but there's an issue drawing 8 squares. So if I were to repeat this 8 times for I in range 8, and then indent this, and then because every square is 50, after drawing a square, I need to move forward 50, otherwise it's going to keep going in a circle. So forward 50. If I were to repeat that 8 times, I get all the way to the end of the row over here. And the thing that most people will probably do is they think to themselves, okay, turn left 90, and then move forward the total distance of 50 over here, and then let's repeat that. So let's just see what would happen if we repeated that for I in range. We loop that 4 times, or in this case, let's just loop it 2 times just to see what would happen on the second row over here. So if I were to indent that and then indent that, if I were to repeat that, we draw the first row and we draw the second row, but Tracy just drew an extra square off the grid over here. And then Tracy would start drawing on the third loop over here off the grid again. So it doesn't work drawing a total of 8. We're going to have to draw only 7 of them because we need Tracy to stay on the map. So in order to reduce our loop over here, and let's reduce this down to just 1, what's going to end up happening is we have to modify the commands 16 and 17. So basically what we want is we want Tracy starting in the corner, because if we were to loop this a second time over here, we can see that the next row of squares, it's not going to be starting in the right spot over here. So instead of left 90, then forward 50, we're going to want to reverse that and first go forward so we get all the way to the end over here, and then we're going to turn left 90 degrees so that Tracy's in the perfect starting spot to continue repeating the same set of commands to draw a square. So if you now loop that 2 times, it's going to perfectly draw 7 squares over here, have Tracy go forward, turn left, and Tracy's ready in the third loop over here to draw the next line of the sidewalk over here. And then if we increase that all the way up to 4, well, we're able to draw the entire sidewalk. But let's define this over here so it's nice and neat. So the idea of all of this, or more specifically, just repeating this 1 time, is basically drawing a sidewalk. So if we go back and we call over here this define draw sidewalk, this is a single sidewalk as a definition, and we indent all that. This is the idea of drawing a sidewalk. And then if we were to say for I in range 4, what we want to do 4 times is draw sidewalk. So let's get rid of our spaces over here. And then we run this. So we have over here 16 lines of code, and we have successfully drawn our sidewalk over here. So hopefully that was helpful to you guys. And if so, please drop a like, and I'll see you guys in the next video.